I want to get this one off real quick before lunchtime is over. Um, infertility is not really a medical thing, it's a spiritual thing. In the video titled Sis Protect Your Womb, or whatever I'm going to title it, basically something about protecting your womb, I mentioned the spell that I cast over my womb and all of that kind of stuff, and how my thoughts created my reality. And so the same concept is going to be applied to fertility. If all your life you've believed that you didn't want to have kids, or that, you know, you're afraid to have kids because of whatever reason, if the fear and the lack of desire was strong enough, if you felt that way since you were a child, then that creates the energy for that to be true in the 3D. So yeah, you can go to the doctor and they can tell you that your sperm count is low, because it goes for men too. And I also want to mention, in the previous video, I was speaking a lot about how marriage benefits women, but I'm going to tell you how it benefits men as well. If you wait until you're married to have children with a woman, it protects you from all of the negativities that come from men having children with women, the child support and the her using the baby against you, and the other men in your children's life, and all of this other stuff that men don't like surrounding having babies, all the things that deter you from wanting to have a baby. You're protected in marriage. And also, I want to add to that is, because there's some people who get married young before they have certain life experiences, and they end up with manipulators, they end up with people who are not for them. And while that is that might be somebody's journey, so they had to go through that. But if the if my intention is to prevent certain things for certain people who want to listen, then that's what I'm going to do. So there is a way to prevent that from happening. It is not inevitable. It is not just a phase that people go through. People marry somebody and then, oh, you realize that that wasn't the person for you. Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, but there's a way to prevent that from even happening in the first place. And the way to do that is to date until you experience certain life. That's why a lot of seasoned people, a lot of mentors, if you go and get marriage counseling, a smart marriage counselor will tell you to wait. Like if you're 18, 19, 16, if you're under the age, I would say, of 25, and you want to get married, a smart mentor, smart counselor will tell you wait. And the reason they tell you to wait is not because they want to undermine your maturity and they want to undermine everything that you feel like you've gone through. They just understand that there's more that you need to go through. Not only are you waiting, you're dating in that time. You're experiencing more about life. Go travel, go meet other people, get some more experiences under your belt, and then you can make more of an informed. Learn yourself, because then you can start applying that principle of that we were talking about in another video, of if it's not in alignment with who you are, then you know for sure that it's not for you, and that's going to lead to destruction and manipulation and all that other negative stuff later. It's going to show you in the beginning that it is not in alignment with you. It's going to be little small stuff. So if you don't know yourself, you haven't had certain life experiences that solidify you to yourself, you're going to be open to all these different, you're not going to be able to make a sound decision about who to marry. That goes for men and women. So live your life, get grounded in who you are, then you choose somebody to marry after you figured out yourself. Then you guys have kids and you have all the whole life or whatever. And it is more likely that that type of relationship will be successful. I'm not saying it's a perfect, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's going to be more, it might still end, but it might end amicably. It might end without a fight over who's going to get what, and alimony and child support and all of this, and going to court back and forth. It might end in a way where you guys just realize, you know what? You taught me some more about myself and I taught you some more about yourself. It's time for us to go our separate ways, but I still love you. Like, when you do it the correct way, the way that I was just talking about, knowing yourself and then getting into something intentionally, that's the way that if it were to end, it would end. It wouldn't end in a way that's destructive. It would end in a way that you both feel supported and everybody benefits. Because endings can be beneficial too. They don't have to be these terrible things. So, um, so yeah, we were talking about fertility. So fertility is a spiritual thing. If you have certain thoughts about your fertility, maybe somebody told you you can't have kids or whatever is the case, then that's going to affect your fertility. And that's why a lot of these men will say, I can't have kids, even though they never did anything or whatever. They just believe it. I can't have kids. That's a spell that somebody put on them or they put on themselves to not have kids. But then once that starts wearing off, that spell or that idea, they stop thinking that idea, because that's really what spells are, thoughts and words. So they stop thinking that, or somebody stops saying that to them. Now they mess around and have a kid out of nowhere, and they're like, oh, I thought I couldn't have kids. That's because whatever was blocking you, whatever spiritual block was there, has now been moved out of the way. It's the same thing with women's fertility. Somebody told you you can't have kids. Somebody told you you were barren. You were with this man for years and you guys could never have a child. That's because he was not your husband. You were not meant to have a child. And because somebody spoke, maybe somebody protected you with a spell and spoke over you that only your husband would be able to get you pregnant, or you spoke that over yourself. And that's what protected you. And so instead of fighting and going for IVF treatments and doing all of this extra stuff, like doing the most, some of you guys like really be doing the most. And that's fine. Do the most for what you feel like you want. I just want to make you aware that maybe you should look a little bit more into this and decide if that's really what you want, or if you're just trying to force what you think you want. Because we're all born with a womb. We're all born with sperm. If we were meant to have a child, we would. That's why it just happens naturally for some people. That's why people, as soon as they have sex, they get pregnant. And they're constantly pregnant. That's because that's either they didn't set up certain boundaries for themselves, or that was just their path. That's what they wanted. And so we have to be a little bit more mindful that we are in control over things that we see that seem to be out of our control. Everything is in your control. Okay? Even your fertility. Right? Just some things for us to think about. Some ways to spark conversation, because, it doesn't have to be true for everybody. It's true for me. And I'm sharing my perspective because that's my only point. That's my only reason for doing these videos, to share a different perspective. And then you take my perspective and you do what you want with it. Throw it away. Use it to criticize me. Please don't. But if you choose to, your choice. Or use it to apply it to your own life and your own situation and see what different ways you can do things to get what it is that you want. Okay? All right, guys. Till next time, be well.